Alright, getting into the video. As you can tell by the thumbnail on your screen, we're going to be going over the Arizona Cardinals 2022 preseason preview for you Arizona Cardinals fans out there. But before we get into it, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, turn that notification bell on so you're notified anytime we upload one of these videos. We got plenty of these up on the channel as well, so you make sure you guys check those ones out as well if you're interested in some of these other teams that we've been talking about. But let's get into it.
I lost gang members, I can't act cool. I got gang scriptures in my tattoos. I was running from the police in my trap shoes. Posted trying to flip 100, I come back fool. Come from nothing, but I blossomed to a tycoon. Betrayal scars, can't stop thinking about them stab wounds. We might not catch him today, but he gon' die soon.
Starting off last year, as we always do, the Cardinals were 11-6. They were 11th in points scored with 449, and they were tied 11th in points allowed in 366. These stats are provided to you guys by PFF, so if you like PFF, good for you. If you don't, I don't care. But getting into it, they were the 18th overall 18th overall team. Good Lord, I cannot talk. 18th overall team, tied 17th overall offense, 17th overall defense, and the 13th overall special teams.
Anyone else curious how they can be 17th, 17th, and 13th and still end up with 18th?
It's averages.
Interesting.
Just
curious.
Medians, that's the word I was looking for. It's medians in each group, and then when you add it all up, and then you divide it by 32, but then add 6, and then square root that by 15, you get your answer.
Man, you just did more work right there than Kyla does in studying.
Heyo! You'd know if you work for PFF, like me. But in all seriousness, we're going to get into the players that they either cut or left this offseason. Starting off with the big guns here. Christian Kirk, he's gone. You guys, you're going to have to try and figure out life post Christian Kirk. If you guys are going to be able to do it, I don't know. He's on to bigger and better things with the Jaguars now. Being a true wide receiver one like he's always been, but in the shadow of D-Hop like Neymar was in Messi's. So Christian Kirk's going to shine down there. Chandler Jones is also gone. He is now with the Las Vegas, not the Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders. Max Garcia, guard, he is gone. He is now with the New York Giants. Good for them picking up Cardinals linemen. That's one thing you always want to do. So that's a good call by the Giants there. Then you get Jordan Phillips, defensive lineman. He has now moved on to bigger and better things, going to Super Bowl contending team, the Bills. Getting out of the ones that weren't even close, going to a team that is close now. Chase Edmonds is gone now. He's with the Dolphins. And kind of rounding it off with Jordan Hicks, linebacker. He is now with the Vikings.
Lost quite a bit of big players. Satire aside, Christian Kirk was a huge asset to that offense, and losing him, and then as well as that D-Hop suspension is kind of a huge blow. Chandler Jones is a stud of that defense, one of their best players for years, and now he's gone. You're relying on J.J. Watt. Hopefully he can stay healthy all year. Jordan Phillips was a great defensive lineman. Now he's playing for the Bills that you guys lost and have to replace. There's a lot. Chase Edmonds is what your switchblade. I don't know. It was a rough offseason, I think, so far. But, to put some cherry on the top and make it a little bit better, the Cardinals did do what we were just talking about. Lost Christian Kirk, needed some weapons. D-Hop is out for the first, is it 6 games or 8 games? 6, right? Yeah. I mean, accidentally taking a drug and then touching 26 women inappropriately is pretty much the same thing, 6 games, go NFL. Mm-hmm. But they traded for Marquise Hollywood Brown. An absolute burner, knows how to get open downfield like none other, and I'm excited to see that connection with Kyla and Marquise. He's going to be electric for him. Hopefully he can just catch the deep ball. Then they did a trade here with the Giants. Basically, they took your guard, you guys took their guard, Will Hernandez, for a year. You guys signed Nick Vigil on another 1-year deal, and then you guys also picked up Darrell Williams as a secondary running back for James Conner, who it looks like you guys are committing to for a little bit longer. And speaking of committing to, you guys he re-signed, Zach Ertz, that 3-year deal, which I think is a really good pickup for him. He was used quite a bit in your guys' offense last year when you guys finally got him over and integrated. AJ Green comes back for another year. Probably not something that was like a huge need for you guys right away, but then with all the wide receiver departures and suspension, having AJ Green back in there for another year is going to be good for you guys. James Conner, absolute touchdown hog for you guys last year. Just hawked it up there. Just got him back for another 3 years. Played himself into a good contract for him. Good for him, getting his money. And then Colt McCoy. He came in and played some games for you guys last year, and he was still able to win some of them. He won 2 of them against the 49ers and the Seahawks. So can't you overplay having a quarterback that if you have to have come in, especially with all this COVID stuff going on still to this day, having somebody come in and just win you a game if you need it to, that's a big get. And then along with that Marquise Hollywood-Brown trade, which was their trading their first round pick, they did get other picks later on with the draft, and I think they did pretty well with that. Dylan, who did they end up getting?
Yeah, so just real quick to kind of run through it. They didn't get their first round pick, but their first pick overall for the team was Trey McBride, tight end out of Colorado State. We got a lot of love for him.
Yes, sir.
And then they went back-to-back with outside linebackers, Cameron Thomas, Myjai Sanders. Cam Thomas coming from San Diego State, Myjai Sanders coming from Cincinnati. 2, good potential outside linebackers that kind of help replace Chandler Jones leaving and their lackluster defense to a point as well. They also added Keontae Ingram from USC. He's a running back. He might add a lot of spark behind James Conner. And then their day 3 picks, you have Lacita Smith, guard, Virginia Tech. Christian Matthew, cornerback out of Valdosta State. Jesse Lukita, a linebacker out of Penn State. And then Marquise Hayes, guard out of Oklahoma. So a lot of these picks are, kind of places that they need players, kind of put in some youth there. I think Trey McBride is the true star of the draft. He's going to get a lot of touches early in the season with D-Hop being gone and just his size and ability alone. And then I think Keontae Ingram has a real chance to pop off, given that James Conner was more of a red zone running back and Chase Edmonds had the 20 to 20 yards to kind of run free. So yeah. I think he'll be a good boom behind James.
And then some other just quick off-season news. We kind of gone over it, but not really hit the point. Kyler Murray's contract negotiations, he is officially signed. He is there in Arizona. If you guys haven't seen our video, shameless plug, we did make one already about it. Go ahead and check it out. Some other stuff came up after we made that video, so glad we did it before that whole clause thing came out.
Yeah.
And then secondly, that DeAndre Hopkins suspension. So it kind of threw a wrench into your guys' off-season, really. I know your big thing was making sure into seeing if you guys were going to keep Kyler Murray, and that's kind of where the team was going. But I think that the DeAndre Hopkins suspension kind of threw a wrench into that. And you guys had to make a quick trade for Marquise Brown, and I think it might have changed up what you guys were planning on going for this offseason. But apart from that, I mean, it comes down to how do we think they're going to do now with this upcoming 2022 season. Last year, they had the record of, what was it?
11-6.
11-6. Dylan, what were you thinking?
I was going to say, just kind of tackle on with the 11-6. They started off extremely hot, just like they have done in the past.
Always do.
And then they fall off. I don't know if it's, leadership or whatever, but a lot of people will kind of put that on Kyler's head, and, to a point, you're the quarterback and you got to kind of rally your troops in a way. But the guy that I think is getting left off of everyone's talking points is Cliff Kingsbury. He wasn't a successful coach coming into the NFL. I mean, having 11 wins. So I'm not going to take that away from him. But even if you have success in the NFL, you can get canned. The Lions fired Jim Caldwell after their first successful season with him because it wasn't good enough for him. And I think it comes to a point where you might have to look at Cliff Kingsbury and say, is this good enough? Is, not making the playoffs and still having a good record good enough? So I think that might be something that gets brought up, and I think he's a dark horse to be on the hot seat.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. We talked about it quite a bit. The Cardinals are one of the more of like the more interesting cases in the NFL as like a team, because no one can deny the talent that they possess. It just always seems like a little bit off from like an outside perspective looking in and just like watching, right? Like I don't watch every single play of them, and I don't follow the team news weekly, so I can't know like on a full scale that like a true Cardinals fan could, but it just seems like it's like there's something like missing, or something's
I think
not
it's
clicking.
leadership.
There's something not clicking, right?
I think a few players have said it in the offseason that the leadership from top to bottom just is different than other places in the NFL. And I don't know if that's, the head coach, the quarterback, or if it's front office, but I think there is some serious issues with their leadership.
Yeah, which I don't want this to be like a crapping on the Cardinals video or whatever. It's just like the preseason like preview of
we're
what's
all
going to
adults.
happen.
We can handle a little reality.
But I think it comes down, like you're saying, like leadership, like that. Like everyone brings up that like Russell Wilson like talking about like I'd be up and down on the sideline, pumping up my team, and then it cuts to Kyler and he's sitting there like pouting by himself, like in a corner by himself, in a playoff game, right? Like that's just not a good look, and you don't have to be like a rah cheesy corny guy like Russell Wilson to be a leader in the NFL, but there always have been those like conversations and questions about Kyler. And then having that like study clause, I will throw it up there for you guys, but having that study clause implemented in his contract, the first thing ever to do that for like any player, and then for it to
be recognized,
right? Like it's just ridiculous. And Kyler's talked about it. Like he came out and said that like I'm flattered that you guys think that I could go out there and play the way that I do without any effort or putting in time outside of it, which is like a good answer. Like there's no way that you could be in the NFL as good as you are if you're not doing, the work that you need to, especially as a quarterback. He's obviously extremely talented and gifted, but I think it stems from a quote that he had from last year, where he said, I think I was just blessed with the cognitive skills to just go out there and see it before it happens. I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit there and kill myself watching film. I don't sit there for 24 hours to break down this team and that team and watch every game because in my head I see so much. And that's not something you want your quarterback to say. Even if it's like...
Even if it's true. Even if you don't... you don't need to answer the haters. That's the one thing is like... I feel like players, they haters.
Yeah, and like as like a, like it's very similar to Baker's. Like Baker would answer the critics, and we would love it, right, when we were winning. And then when you're losing, all of a sudden all those come back, and then all of it comes back again, and all of it comes back. It just gets nauseating and like, kind of annoying to put up with that over time. So Kyler's obviously I think more gifted than Baker is, and he's shown it in the NFL. So I think he'll be able to back it up a little bit more, but. I'm just curious on what that team's going to be able to do. Like, is Kyler somebody that could lead a team to the Super Bowl? Which I think that I just kind of opened that question up to all of us. Like, is Kyler somebody you guys think that could lead a team to a Super Bowl?
So I think when we talked about the Cardinals last, when that contract happened, I said that Kyler Murray is a player that can definitely win when he has a team to win with. He's definitely clutch, and he has a lot of game-breaking skills that you're going to have to watch out for. But that goes to the leadership. One of the things I would say is imagine if Tom Brady had any athletic ability like Kyler had to just go out and wing it. Like, just imagine that. Yeah,
it would literally be like, honestly, I think it could have been 10 years straight. Like, I think he legitimately could have won 10 years straight.
So just like the thing I would say is if somehow this ever got to Kyler's ear is like, yeah, you don't have to kill yourself over tape, but learn a way to get into that tape and figure out how to learn that way, because it's easy to kind of just go out there and use your gifts to beat everyone, but when you don't have those in the future, you're gonna wish you had years and years of tape to back up. Okay, this read is going here, twice, and still be a Ben Roethlisberger who can't throw, who can't move, and still win 9 games here. So that's all I would say about the match.
What do you think?
I still think Kyler watches tape. I still think he's a professional, but I just think this is the owners coming out and just protecting them if they need a scapegoat.
It's fair. I think Kyler, we're usually all in agreement with stuff on this channel, so I'm also pretty much in agreement with Dylan. No, we're not.
I'm just kidding.
Sometimes it's a little bit.
I think Kyler can be that guy, but he needs the team around him to help him. I don't think he can be the Tom Brady or the Ben Roethlisberger or the Aaron Rodgers in a sense. I don't think he can do it all by himself. Tom Brady had a line and a defense, and some random dude off a practice squad was his receivers, and same thing with like Ben Roethlisberger. They never really had the upper echelon guys and stuff like that. So, but I think Kyler needs the team around him to be able to do it. But I think with a few more pieces on that team, I think they could win a Super Bowl. Yes, with Kyler as their quarterback.
I'm kind of along those same lines. Like, we talked about it in our original reaction to his contract. Like, you're committing to a guy, which now the contract looks a little bit different because they added those clauses. It's like they're committing to him, but they're not really like committed to him. Like, they're nervous that they're committing to him. It's kind of what
like
the vibe it kind of seems. Yeah, it's like, hey, I want to get married, but please sign this because I don't think it's gonna end well. Right, and I just think that's telling when you've got an organization that's like that right now, and then you've got former players and current players talking about it, and then the first thing you have in training camp is this whole shebang with your franchise quarterback. Like, I think that spells kind of what's going on with that team. And then they didn't do a good job, I think, with helping Kyler with the problems that he had. He's obviously extremely gifted and can get out of the pocket like none other, but the Rams showed what you have to do to stop them. And that was just in the playoff game when everyone could see it. Like, people were doing that all year long. You just push that interior offensive line, and Kyler struggles. And they didn't really replace any linemen. They lost some pieces, and they didn't do anything to protect them more. You can say there was a lateral move in the wide receiver room, so there really was no improvement there. And the second that D-Hop went out with injury, Kyler really took a downward spiral. So I'm curious on what's going to do. I think this is a case where I think it's going to be one of those things that's going to be like a curious question for people 10 years from now.
Do you think they have more or less than 11 wins?
I think that they're a 9 to 11 win team. I think that's where they're at. I'm wondering how badly D-Hop messes with them.
Yeah, that's the question.
And even though the NFC isn't as strong as the AFC, you're still in the NFC West. You still have the Niners. You still have the Rams every year. The Seahawks are a division rival, which is annoying because you can never take those lightly. So I don't know if we're kind of all in agreement. 9 to 11 wins. You guys think it's going to be better, worse? I don't know.
I think I'd go 8 to 10. I think I'm down on them, just because that defense just. I mean, you lost Chandler Jones.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even go over that.
Yeah, we didn't. I mean, we mentioned it, but yeah, I mean, losing Chandler Jones is a big hit. J.J. Watt. I mean, he seems like the brakes have fallen off on him, and then you don't really have much else. Buda Baker's there.
Byron
out there,
Murphy.
saving touchdowns.
Decent, they have decent. literally, like, the Cardinals are one team that, like, I can't put my finger on. Like, I
Yeah.
really can't get it. I have a strong
But-
opinion on, like, multiple teams and kind of know where they're at. And the Cardinals, I just, like, I really have no idea. Like, I can't.
Yeah,
It's way
I
too
can just kind of see a crash and burn. I think D-Hop being out is going to really suck. I might even go down. I think their floor is 6 wins. I think they go 6-9. So I'll settle on. And
Damn. Okay.
winning 8 though.
Okay. Going under 500, you think?
Yeah.
Really down on them. I think they'll go above them still, but that's 2-1. Hey, like Mikey said, we sometimes agree on this channel. Most of the time we do, and then sometimes we just got varied opinions. That's what's great about it. We can have a fun conversation. Ooh. But Cardinals fans, let us know what you guys are feeling down in the comment section below. I mean, this could not have been. Thank you, everybody. And apart from that, stay tuned for more videos that we have coming out. Deuces.
Peace out.